He has served in Germany, Jordan, the Netherlands, and has even done 2 tours in Afghanistan as a member of Her Majesty's forces. But after 14 years, at the age of 35, yes, 35, he decided to end his military career and give back to his community. And that is how he started his consultancy firm, eHuman Limited, that helps ethnic minorities here in the UK find opportunities to better their life. My colleague Alex Chamwada spent time with him, and here is that story.
In UK, UK we shall go.
Rarely do we get time off to experience such a rural feel when we travel abroad. With Sergeant Tyrus Njenga, the timing, the occasion, the location, and the reason were just perfect for this. And you may be wondering, why are we heavily dressed? Yes, this was in November, as the cold winter season was setting in. Again, you may be wondering, where are we? We are in Hampshire, in southern England. Tyrus has lived in Hampshire for 5 years. These privately owned wheat farms neighbor his residency in Alton Town. Harvesting has just happened.
We are privileged to live in a rural area, and I think that is something what we really wanted, me and my wife, to have a good and conducive environment, not just for us, but even for our future kids.
Tyrus, who was born and brought up in Kiambu County in Kenya, says he feels at home living here. And by the way, as we stroll, we keep coming across familiar plants. Never thought they would be found in England too. For example, a plant known as the stinging nettle. It has leaves that sting.
It will sting.
It will sting, it will sting you.
Look.
That's stinging nettle. Others I know it, the healthy ones. This one here.
Interesting.
It stings people, but I don't know why. For some reason it doesn't sting me. If you try, it will sting you. Yeah.
Furthermore, we learn from Tyrus that in the UK, land is passed over from generation to generation. You cannot divide it or sell half of the farm. It is sold as a whole. We spent a couple of days with Tyrus in Hampshire on a working holiday. Yes, at some point we drive through the Alton town we were talking about, and this is the neighborhood Tyrus lives in. For the 36-year-old ex-British military officer, this is not just a home, but also his office. He is a consultant mainly in immigration, travel, and recruitment. But first, we sought to find out why Sergeant Tyrus Njenga hung his boots after serving in the British Army for 12 years.
So retirement was, I think it came natural because I was progressing well, but equally in my own personal life, I was doing well. And I felt at 12-year point, which is half pension, it was enough time for me to kind of call it quits because I could not give myself in both ways. The army is demanding and I was doing it, but again in my personal life, what I wanted to build, I want to build my own empire. It was equally becoming demanding. The more you become, you are enhancing yourself. The more you're growing, the more the responsibilities become. You have more responsibilities.
You're on pension.
I'm on pension, so I'll have a half pension. So after I get to my retirement age, which is about 67 in UK, I'll get half pension. So if I did the 22 years, I'll have a full pension.
Back to Njenga's education background, and he went to Kiambururu Primary School in Kiambu, then to J.G. Kiereini Secondary School, still in Kiambu. After high school, he joined Kenya Medical Training College in 2004.
So I went to do orthopedics technician, so I was still in the medical. I wanted to be a doctor, and so that was my base. I started as an orthopedic technician.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then, so after completing KMTC?
So I didn't finish. When I was doing KMTC, I was sporty and I was good in school. So those two things, I wanted to have a balance when in a career. So I wanted to find a balance where I would still do sports, but at the same time have a career out of it. So that's when I saw an advert in Kenya about the British Army. And they were saying, you get to travel and do sports. And in my head, I was like, this is what I want. So I applied. Back in the days, there was no social media. It used to be post office. So you show the interest, they will give you a form, you fill, you give a template of a medical assessment, then you send it. It used to take 2 months or 8 weeks. Then they would do the back and forth through the post office. And our post office was a church. So I used to get the mails through the church.
For Njenga, it was a dream come true when he eventually got an invitation letter after 8 months of back and forth.
I did not know anybody. It was just boys being boys. You see an opportunity. As a matter of fact, I did not even tell my parents. So I did this because I thought it was right. But then, remember, the post office has to go to church and the parents has to pick the letters. And then when they saw the invitation letter from the British Army, that's when they're asking, oh, why are we getting a letter from the British Army? And that's when I had to explain to them, oh, that's one. It's because, I've seen a very good opportunity. I can go there and become a medic, but at the same time, I will get to do the sports and get to travel.
Wait a minute. Despite Njenga securing an invitation letter to join the British Army, the real hard and tricky bit of the whole process was yet to begin. First, to get a visa, he needed to show that he had a sponsor or family in the UK to stay with. Secondly, he needed to have a bank account, which he did not have at that time, among other requirements.
I was denied the first time because a lot of people, even now, people think once you get an invitation letter of any form, that is the gateway to come to UK, but that is only a start when it comes to immigration and visas. So I was denied because I did not prove enough social ties with Kenya. So when you go to immigration, they would want to see, yes, you're coming to join the British Army, or you're coming to study, or you're coming to do ABCD in UK, but what are you giving us on the paper to show that you're going to go back home, the social ties? So the title deeds, the whatever your parents have, if you have a land, if you have something under your name, those are the social ties. The family, it's not as much because you can come and start a family, but the social ties in terms of, are you showing us anything that will make you come back to Kenya? Because they don't want you to come here and stay. Even though for my case, I was coming to join the British Army, they still need to see if you are not successful, what is it that you've given us that will make you come back home?
Njenga did not give up and tried a second time, thanks to advice from a family friend.
So he helped us on the things that you need to have. So we'll come and ask you, do you guys have a title deed here? Is it under your father's name here? Is your surname reflecting the same name that the title deed reads? That's good enough. So the second time was successful, and that was in April 2006.
Njenga then embarked on his journey as he boarded a plane for the first time.
I went to Coventry, 2006. I was 21 years, so I was quite naive, very young, energetic. I had a bigger, brighter future ahead of us, but I was excited to come to UK and start a life. Yes, yes.
What followed next? Take us through until now you joined the British Army.
Yeah, so once you get to your host family, within a week you need to go and report to the careers office. So the way the UK British Army works is based on the address of your host family, they will look for a careers office around that area. So I was found a careers office in Milton Keynes. It was an hour drive.
Here, Tyrus had to begin yet another process.
So you do a proper medical, you do something else called BAP test, so British Army battery test. So they're testing your IQ test. And based on how much you pass, the score you get, that's when they give you the jobs available to you. I had a good pass, so I was given a lot of options on the job. And because I was in a medical school, MTC, it made sense to continue with that path. So I took a CMT, which is a combat medical technician. It's a first aid at work. When people go on the front line, you become the medics. You are the first on scene. And it's almost the stuff they do in the civilian street is paramedics. But in the army setup is the combat medical technician. So once you join, you go through the phase 1, which is 3 months. So everyone that joins the British Army or any forces out there, they have a structure that works.
In other words, they do what is known as breaking you off, meaning taking you through a reset of your training.
All the stuff is good, but for this moment in time, for the first 3 months, we are teaching you army skills. So they'll be telling you, for example, if you, Alex, make a mistake and we are a team, we get punished. It's almost capital punishment, but they do that measured. You know, it's all scientific, because they're trying to tell you, forget everything you know. We are going to teach you something different.
I hear it can be quite difficult, quite rough. For you, how was it? I mean, I hear even people give up.
For me, I was okay. I was actually scoring very high points, especially in sports, because remember, I used to do a lot of sports. Physically, I was physically fit. Again, IQ, I was good. So the stuff I was learning, especially on the CMT, the combat medical technician, which it came to the phase 2, I didn't have a problem, because I had the base.
Then tell us about your work experience before you retired.
So I started as a base as a combat medical technician. My first unit, I went to a parachute regiment, which is a high end, because it means you are working with the special forces. So your standard, you know, your fitness standards have to be very over and above, because you're carrying weight, and at the same, on top of that, you're carrying ammunition and a medical kit, and you're going and you're marching for 10 miles, 15 miles, even more. So you keep, you know, your fitness level have to be on top notch. On top of that, your medical skills have to be the best. And remember, when you get tired, you know, that's when you switch off and you forget. So they want to train you so that when you are tired, you can still treat effectively. It's endurance and longevity. So when you go and work for the special forces, parachute, there's SAS. It's not SAS. You know, it's not the SAS level, but it is a parachute regiment. We jump from. I used to jump from the planes. So you're dropped somewhere in the wilderness, and then you have to achieve the mission. So what they do, they train you so that you are physically fit to carry the weight, but at the same time they train you your medical skills. So those two things have to go hand in hand. So as much as it doesn't matter how tired you are, you're still effective in saving lives. Wow. So that was where I started as a CMT, and I built myself.
Tyrus Njenga grew through the ranks and later became a sergeant.
So if you're working hard, because you get appraisals, so they write you appraisal every year. So every year they say you've done exceptionally well. If you get 2 appraisals, then it means you go to the next level. If you are showing leadership skills, again, that's a cue for them to say this person we can trust him to lead, because he's responsible. Not just for himself, but he can look after other people.
When did you become sergeant?
So I became sergeant after 9 years in the army, which in the army standards is quite fast. And again, it was from private, then you go to lance corporal, then from lance corporal you promote to corporal. Then after corporal, that's when you become a sergeant. So it means you are now a senior non-commissioned officer. Yeah.
What are the places you went to while you are now serving in the army, various parts of the world?
So deployment, I've done to Afghanistan. So I've done two tours of Afghanistan. In UK, British Army, they do 6 months at a time. So I did one in 2010. When I was a private, and that's when I promoted to Lance Corporal, and I did another one in 2013. That was Afghanistan. So I've gone to Kenya. I was there for 8 months. I was doing the medical side of things. So I was the liaising officer. I was the host nation's liaising officer. So if somebody, because we do exercise in Batuk, in Nanyuki and Nairobi. So if somebody gets injured in Nanyuki and they need to go to the hospital in Nairobi, I was the link between the hospital and the British Army on the ground, the doctors who are on the ground. So they'll call me and say, we have a so-and-so person who is injured, and I will call the hospital. We used to go to Aga Khan Hospital, and they were put on the pavilion wing. So I've gone to Kenya, then I've done various courses, exercises. I've gone to Jordan, I've gone to Netherlands to do my jumps. I've gone to Germany, I've gone to Cyprus. Cyprus again as a medic, so I'll go there and I'll teach medical training.
Quite an interesting story right there from Alex. But don't go anywhere, we have more to come right after the break.
Welcome back. Sergeant Tyrus Njenga's story continues. Remember, Njenga retired from the British Army after 12 years to venture into self-employment, and he says he applies a lot of what he learned in the British Army, including discipline and interpersonal skills, among other lessons.
Before I retired, obviously it's a transition. You need to know what you want to do in life, and then you start building it up before you leave what you have. So I started because now remember I was a CMT, then now I've gone to university. The Army has invested in me. They have taken me to Cambridge University and become a paramedic. And now it means I'm marked up in civilian street. And for me to keep my skills, I have to work in the NHS, National Health Service, and the ambulance National Trust. So it was an easier transition for me because I kind of have a civilian job to keep my skills. And with time, that is when I opened my own company. Obviously, with my wife and the business how I wanted to do, now I ventured into my own self-employed route. So I opened my company in 2018. By that time, it was just a company because you know what you want. You're kind of laying foundation.
So in the company, what do you do?
So I'm the CEO of the eHuman Limited.
What does eHuman do?
So eHuman offers various services, and in terms of the UK, the people who live in UK, we are almost like an information hub. So if somebody wants to know anything, especially the legal side of things, they will come to us because my wife is a lawyer. So when it comes to legal side, she takes care of that. When it comes to notarizing and certifying documents, she does that. When it comes to will writing, because again, we need to kind of secure what we've worked hard for, she does the will writing and all that. Then human resource, she's done human resource. I've done management in the Army. The Army has given me qualification for management. So we help people open companies. They are called business startups. So you come to us and tell us, I have this idea. How can I make this practical? And then we advise you. So we help you, making whatever you have in your head a practical business plan. And that business plan you can actually now take it to the bank and apply for loans. We also look for, because the UK government it's always looking to empower small businesses, business grants. We advise on business loans, any opportunities in the UK. And also one thing we also do, accounting and financing. So again, because if you go to the route of self-employed, you need to do your tax returns. You need to know what you can claim. They are called employment expenses.
Njenga says they also offer advice on the do's and don'ts when it comes to mortgages and what to do to become credit-worthy, among other services.
We applied for something called COS, Certificate of Sponsorship. In layman's terms, it's called work permits. So we were granted in December last year, and that means we are a UK recruiter. So we can recruit from UK and from overseas for our jobs. Because now we work in the healthcare, we have jobs in the care homes. We work with councils because people want to have services for living under healthcare, care jobs. So as a recruiter, I can recruit from UK, which we do, and we have people who are working for us, or I can recruit from overseas.
Njenga has not forgotten his home country as he runs an office in Kenya too.
We have a sister company, so eHuman is here in the UK. So Tigram is another sister company. I opened Tigram when I was obviously when I was in the Army, and the popularity grew of how did you join the Army? And I was like, oh, the advert was ABC, and I realized a lot of people did not have this information. So in my quest of helping people, we opened a platform where someone can go to the office and we can advise them. So we have an office in Kiambu, and we do our recruitment there. We advise people on various options because apart from the healthcare industry with the eHuman, our sister company they help people applying for the scholarship. We identify where the scholarships are, and we help them to do that. Visas, especially coming here to UK. Remember I told you I got denied the visa first time. So we learned through that. Visitors visa, if you are coming to see your relations in the UK, we help you and tell you this is the evidence you want to get from them, this is evidence you need to show the social ties. When it comes to a lot of Kenyans, they love football. So if you are an Arsenal enthusiast or Manchester enthusiast, you come to us, we'll give you a package. So you tell us, I want to come and see Manchester and we have a stadium tour. We'll package that for you. If you're coming, if you're having delegates or if you're having people who just want to come and do shopping in the UK, they'll come through to us, we package them. Holiday packages, if someone wants to come here, we give them a chauffeur services, exclusive chauffeur services, executive chauffeur services. So you come, we pick you up from, in fact, we start from Kenya, do the visas for you, assist you in doing the visa, you submit the visas. Once you get your visa, we help you in the flights, obviously booking and buying the flight because some people don't know them. And the options, the options. If you know how to do all these things, you do it, and then we give you a package when you get to UK. We pick you up from the airport, we take you wherever you want. We give you those, those guided tours. And if you want to come to our house and have that nyama choma style, or we take you to our Kenyan pubs in UK and get to see diaspora and living diaspora life, we have all that because as much as we do, on top of doing the job I do, we are very much engaged in community.
Here in Consultancy, it is about problem solving. A client comes with a burden, with their expectations, with their wishes. It is upon me as a consultant to solve their problem. By the time they leave my office, they're already smiling because a problem solved.
T-Gram and eHuman, they are very professional, they are very patient, and then they work with you each step of the way. You just have to make that phone call, and you'll be advised on how to go about it.
And with that, we are done with today's show. Many thanks for watching. But from us here in Alton Town in Hampshire, we say bye-bye for now.